Hello.
Hello, and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 397. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I am Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is Tuesday, June 26th, 2018. We are in a month. SSK 2018 will be over. Will be donesies.
It will be. It's like 2 weeks away, right?
A little more, but yeah.
Okay.
It starts on the 18th.
Yeah, so almost 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, I'm not trying to... I already got yelled at for trying to rush time because I wanted something to arrive.
Yeah.
So...
And I was like, dude, we're still waiting on other things. Let's not rush it.
Anyway.
So, SSK is our annual summer knitting retreat in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
You'll hear more about it over the next month.
Yep, more than likely.
And then after it happens, we won't talk about it
until September.
Yeah, because we need.
It becomes the thing that shall not be named.
Yeah. It's like having a baby. Like, you have to forget how much work it is.
Well, it's lots of fun, though.
Yeah, it is. It is a joy, and we've met some absolutely amazing people through it.
Yes.
But it is a lot of work.
It is, which is fun. But work. Like, legit work. It's that whole being self-employed thing where you work harder for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So, knitting.
I just messed up my thing.
Oh, no.
But I'm fixing it right now. So can you go first, or are you in the middle of something?
Well, I'm in the middle of a row, but
okay.
It's not like you can tell.
Well, if you give me 1 second, I can get done with this row, and then we'll be done.
Okay.
But I'll talk about it as I knit. I am only knitting 2 things still, and they are the same 2 things that I've been knitting on for a month. So, sorry.
You finished things in that time, though.
No.
Like baby hats and...
No.
I feel like you have.
I finished a washcloth.
I still feel like you finished something else.
You
finished that depth cowl.
That was last month.
Well, but it's not been a full month, though, has it?
That was May, but yeah. It'll be a month in like 4 days.
Whatever. You spun ridiculous amounts.
I did. So I have been spinning. Leslie's like, I'm going to tell you that you did stuff this month.
You're a lot more productive than you're acting like you are.
You feel like you haven't been. But knitting-wise, I have not been super productive this month. Spinning-wise, I have been. But I am knitting on a pair of socks. Do you have a blocker that I can steal?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Your leg blocker. It's so fancy.
Cookie.
Yeah. So these are kind of short, but and I've switched needles on them because the double points kept falling out repeatedly, and it was driving me a little, like, I would lose all the stitches every time I pulled them out of the bag and would have to pick them back up. So it was driving me a little bit crazy. So at dinner with Leslie the other night, I always keep a size 0 needles in my purse as backups, and because you never know when a needle's gonna break. And it's just like Addie sock rockets and a thing. It's not like it adds a lot of like takes up a lot of room, and it doesn't add a lot. Yeah. So these are the Free Time socks by Shannon Squire, and they are super attached to me. And they have, let me show you guys this side. They have this slip stitch pattern that goes down the side, and then a reverse stockinette stripe on the top, and a regular stockinette on the bottom. And I am past the gusset, yay! But my slip stitches look a little wobbly too. I think it's gonna block out okay. If I was to knit these again, and when I knit them again, because I will, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, because it's really wobbly on the side, I'm going to add a stitch. So you start the row with a purl, and it's also where your color change is happening, and I feel like that's just not getting tight enough. So I'm going to add 2 stitches. I'll probably go down a size because this is 64, so I'll go down to like 56, and then add those 2 stitches. So it'll actually be 58, and then I'll just do an extra decrease on that, of those 2 stitches on the toe before I do the rest of the decreases for the toe. For the wedge toe. But I'm enjoying the pattern. I'm using Old Rusted Chair in the Rainbow Trout colorway, that's this, and a navy plucky feet. That was in my stash.
And the Rainbow Trout is a leftover from
a cowl that I did from Laura Nelkins, so I have loads of the navy left, and then that much of the Rainbow Trout. It's not a terrible amount.
Yeah, but you should still be fine with shorty socks. And
yeah, they're shorty and they're striped, so I think I'll be okay. So that is the first thing on my needles. And the second thing, thank you for that, thing on my needles is my shawl called Goldfish Memories. I am on section 11. And I did run out of yarn. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know that that was quite the dilemma. So, this variegated section, I probably could have done 2 more rows, but the section I'm on that I was on when I ran out called for 8 rows, or 6 rows. So I was weighing it as I went, and I misread the directions, otherwise I would have used the rest of this on, like, the section before. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was repeats of 6 in stockinette, and it was repeats of 8 in garter, so I had that just a little bit left over. So this is what had happened. Last time you guys saw this, it was down here. So it was in the stripey section right here. And then I did the lace during Drag Race when Leslie was over, so that's a 40 repeat of this lace, and that's in, so the variegated is Moon Rover Wilds in the Eye of Newt colorway. The green is Emma's Crazy Beautiful Yarn in Kale, and then the blue is Plucky Feet in Social Graces. So I got through this, and then I got to this garter section, and I knew I only had 25 grams of the variegated left, and I knew each row was taking a gram, so I knew I'd only have 25 rows left. So I cut this section short. It was supposed to be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I did 9 repeats, and it was supposed to be 14. So I cut that one short by 5, so 10 rows there. And then there's this stripey section, and I cut that short by 1 stripey section, so 4 rows there, so that's 9 rows. And then I thought I was going to have enough to do all 3 repeats in this section, but I only had enough for 2, because this was the 8 row, or 6 row, and I thought, okay, so it was 6 rows, and I thought it was 4, because I can't count. So I only had enough for 2 repeats, but I'm going to make this section, which is not supposed to be garter stripes, a little bit longer. This section is supposed to be kind of the repeat of this section, but with the green instead of the variegated, and with 4 row repeats instead of that. But I started it right, because I started stockinette there, and then I was going to have my 2 rows of the green, and then this part was supposed to be stockinette, and I just started doing garter. And I decided that no one will ever be able to know, except that I've just told you. And instead, this is supposed to be 3 repeats, so I just have 1 row left of this section, but I'm going to make it 5 repeats instead to kind of gain back
that length,
a little bit of that length that I lost.
And then after that, you just got the lace.
And then I just have 20, it's like 25 rows of lace, but I'm going to try to do 40. So yarn that I have left, this is crazy. I have this much of the green, so I know, and it just exploded.
Please let me fix that.
Do you want to fix it? It just like exploded everywhere. There is also an issue where my cat decided to vomit on the shawl because I hadn't put it back in the bag because I was still working on it, and so it got washed. I just left it on the needles. It was down at the beginning, and so I just washed it. I soaked it and then laid it outside to dry. And then I have this much of the Social Graces left, which last time I weighed it, it was 60 grams. I think it's down toward, and that was before
you started that section.
The variegated section. So that was a while back. So it's probably down to like 40 grams. So I'll have enough to do a 40 round repeat, definitely, of the lace. And I might I'll just end this section with an odd number, but instead of 5, I might go to 7, depending on
how much
green I have. But that's it for me.
All right, don't put it away. I will fix it.
I'm not. I'm going to knit off the green as you're fixing it.
Okay.
When you're done showing your stuff, but I'm going to use as much as I can while you're doing it. How about that? How about them apples? So I'm excited to get it done. It should be done probably by the next time we record. And I might even have it blocked. That would be nice.
It would be.
Why don't you just leave that in my lap and I'll knit off of it, and then at the ends...
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the blue out of it. Because it'll be easier for me to... Y'all just have to wait a second.
It's very important knitting business going on. So I have a question for you guys while we're waiting. I really enjoy doing multiple color shawls, and I enjoy using at least 800 yards of yarn. So I want to know, what are some shawls that you guys have knit that fall into that criteria that you've really, really enjoyed, besides Find Your Fade? Because I've done one of the fades. For Your Fade?
Yeah, the 3-color one.
But not Find Your Fade. But that's definitely already on my radar.
How many colors?
So it can be however many colors they want. And so is the Starting Point by Hohi and the Fading Point by Hohi. Like, I already know those ones. I'm just interested to hear what else you've knit. And bonus points if you post a picture or a link to your project page, for sure. But I'm looking for my next... I'm in like a shawl mood, but I want big shawls.
I like big shawls.
And I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny.
Okay, that's a place. Oh, there's the end. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Alright, so for me, I am really only actively knitting on one thing. I've still got the Nympha Lydia on the needles, but I just sort of got a wild hair and decided to cast on this
a new sweater?
Sweater, yeah. So it's out of this yarn. I forgot what the content is, so I'm just going to pull one of these out.
They're really, really interesting. They're like core spun?
Yeah, so it's Barocco Mykonos. This is the Stonewash. Is that the colorway? I think so.
And it's a fingering weight, right?
It is... Use size 6 needles. 5.25 to 6 stitches to the inch.
21 to 24 stitches to 4 inches. Huh.
So...
They're knitting that up on a worsted weight gauge almost.
I think it's classified as a DK.
Yeah.
So it's 66% linen, 28% viscose, and 6% viscose, not viscous, and 6% cotton. So yeah, it is.
I wonder what the core is and what the outside is.
I'm not sure. You could look it up though. So it does have a core, and then the fibers, like the linen, is spun around the core.
And so core spun yarns act like, that's why I was curious as to what the core was. Core spun yarns act like what their core is, because that's where the strength comes from. So the characteristics of the core on a core spun yarn is how the finished yarn. You could wrap cashmere around something, but if it's acrylic, that's how the core is acrylic, that's how it's going to act.
So the best way to describe this to someone who isn't a spinner is, if you think about sewing thread, it comes on a spool, and so the core of that spool is a piece of plastic, and then the thread is wrapped around it. Now, in the case of core spun yarn, it continues in a linear fashion rather than just continuing to wrap around it.
It's like cotton candy.
But
like you have the cone for cotton candy, and they wrap the cotton candy around the outside.
Exactly.
It's just like that.
Yeah.
But your metaphor was good too.
Weird ways to reassure people. So I cast on a sweater called the Sevilla Sweater, and it was designed for this yarn. It was designed by Amy Christophers.
Oh, I like her. She's a good designer.
It's a very simple, boxy type sweater. It's knit flat. You don't do any shaping. Even for the sleeves, you don't do any shaping.
Did you just cast on where
you cast on at the bottom hem, and
okay.
I printed it, but I didn't grab it, And it's a very simple, long sleeve, simple stockinette sweater.
Okay, it's long sleeve.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it's got a high-low hem. So
love a high-low hem.
In the front, it goes down to what I would just consider a normal sweater length, like upper hip, or just below, like where your jeans buttons would be. And then in the back, it's 6 inches longer, which I thought was a little excessive.
But you like the Irmas that we wear, the shirts from...
I do, but it
6
just
inches.
seemed really a huge difference. So I did an extra inch. I'm sorry. No, it was 3 inches longer.
Is that
in
the back?
Yeah, this is the back.
Okay.
So
are you going to cast on more for the front? Like on this... So like the Jesse's girl sweater that I'm about to start it's a high-low hem too, and you knit the back. You cast on for the back. You do a cable cast on, and then you knit like 2 inches, I think, and then you cable cast on more stitches on either side, and then that's the fronts.
Oh no, you just do exactly the same thing as you did for the back, just less
and then you
ribbing.
seam up the side.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And this sweater is gonna need stability because this yarn. Okay, so I did a tubular cast on. I used Isolde's video she made a few years back to do a tubular cast on for knit one, purl one rib. My camera does not want to zoom in on this, but it is...
Well, it's so light too. It's gonna be a nice summer sweater.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not real heavy, so it's rayon or it's viscose and linen primarily. I think the core is cotton because it is difficult to work with for a long period of time.
All those are wood derivative fibers.
This is almost all ribbing. I've only got like 6 rows of stockinette. You do the ribbing on... It calls for a 2. I used a 3 because I usually go up a size. And knitting this on a size 2 would have been a challenge for me. It would have been very solid. And now I'm on a 6. It calls for a 5. But
wow.
This is not... I mean, this is a sweater that's meant to be a layer.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not really intended for warmth. It's more of like a fashion.
Perfect for like the 2 days of spring we get, and like the month of fall that we get.
Or when I want to pretend like I'm wearing a sweater when really it's just a light layer. Yeah. I can't wear sweaters for long periods of time. I run really hot. So unless it's Arctic or subarctic, then I just can't do it. So this is the knitting. Now let's talk about the yarn. And you're like, well, we already did talk about the yarn. Well, I have more to say about the yarn.
You need to show people how you're organizing your balls.
So you can't really wind it well on
ball winder and Swift.
Yeah, Swift and a ball winder.
It just kind of collapses on itself. Okay.
Because it has no memory, no ability to stretch,
no
and have
elasticity.
Tension. Right. So,
and there's probably, with no elasticity, there's not going to be like any bounce back when you have the garment. So did you block your swatch like hanging to see how that would affect it?
Yes, plus you build in like 10 inches of positive ease. So,
yeah, but lengthwise, it's going to grow.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'm just letting
you
know.
But I'll keep that in mind when I do the
when you think about the proportions
where the
for
armhole's going
that.
to be and everything, yeah.
But did you measure your swatch before you blocked it?
I didn't swatch.
Oh, I thought you just said you swatched.
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'm a
said
liar. So you didn't swatch. Okay. So maybe when you get your piece to how like 3 inches less length than you think you might want, maybe put it on
and let it hang.
Yeah, some cords and let it hang with because you won't even need binder clips or anything because it'll be the front and you can see at that point
how much
it's going to grow, and then you can be like, okay, I still need to knit 2 inches, or I can rip back an inch.
Yeah. It'll be a little bit before I get to that point, but that's a good idea.
Okay. Like, you can use one of the likey needles and then just put the end caps on, or any interchangeable set. I don't know what kind of needles are you knitting on?
These are just Chagu interchangeables.
Oh, well, you can use the end parts on the Chagus then.
Yeah. So I'm knitting these into hand wound balls.
You're winding them into hand wound balls?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
winding them into balls by hand. And it's frustrating because even though it looks like it's well behaved right now, I've got the end of it tucked in. And as soon as you start to, I didn't even have to move it, it's already started to come unwound here. But as soon as you start pulling on it, it just starts to fall apart. Like,
Whoa!
Yeah, it's unwinding completely.
That's great! Oh my gosh, that's so crazy!
All on its own. Because it's so slippery.
It's so slippy.
I actually
oh my gosh.
considered using wood needles, which is...
Yeah, so that's what my other thing would be. Why aren't you using wood?
Because
Why are
I
you
dislike
using
wood needles. Period. Like, end
of story.
Yeah, I dislike using wood needles. The Licka or Likey or whatever you want to...
Yeah.
Those are an exception, but I'm going to knit on these for a little... With the ribbing, I needed the metal because my knit and purl stitches are very different in tightness and tension. That's why I had to learn to purl backwards. But it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I can't just have the yarn by itself.
This is why we can't have nice things.
So this is my so I looked online, I did a search for how to tame slippery yarn, and I found a lot of really good options. A lot of them included like a Ziploc bag, which is a good option, or some sort of, those circular yarn ball containers. Laura was mentioning
Like the Yarnettes?
Yarnettes, yeah, that might work.
But it's just going to explode within that larger container.
This is
I
a fact.
feel like.
It will. So my very fancy way of doing this
Cannot believe. At least use a hair tie so it won't
is using a rubber band to cover. So I'll take off. I'm close to the end. This is the first ball, and I just took the rubber band off, and it's already fallen apart. But I'll pull off little sections at a time.
Or you could just hand it and they'll come off.
And then I'll just put the rubber band back around the top so that it doesn't, although it's coming apart now because it's so small, that it doesn't want to stay on.
Wow.
So this is my incredibly fancy way of keeping it from getting loose enough to get completely tangled, because that's how I figured out that I needed to do something, because it got completely tangled around everything in my knitting bag, which was super fun.
Huh.
So that is really the only thing I'm actively working on, and now that I'm at the stockinette section, I just got there earlier today.
You're just gonna zip on through?
Well, it'll be something I can do without really paying attention, which is good for me.
Except for your yarn.
Yeah, except for my yarn. I'll have to pay more attention to my yarn than my knitting.
That's crazy.
Which is fun. Finished object.
You have a finished object, because I blocked it.
Yeah, so I showed this before, but Laura blocked my goldfish memory for me while I was cutting a bunch of fabric for aprons for SSK. So this is the...
I ordered a new table today, too.
Oh, cool.
For me. With my own monies.
Whatever makes you happy, baby.
But it's like, okay, so I have that big, long folding table.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they sell them in 30 inches.
Yeah, like square.
Yeah. So, like, well, they're not square. They're still, like, that depth,
okay.
but they're only 30 inches, and they sell them as, like, laptop tables, and you can raise them there by lifetime. It was, like, $40, and I needed something to put my picker on that I could just fold away when I had the picker on the shelf.
Yeah.
Or a drum carder, or whatever crazy...
This is how Laura justifies things that she thinks are semi-frivolous, by the way.
Like tables.
Yeah.
Tables are super frivolous, y'all. You don't need those at all. But, yeah, so I ordered that off of Amazon today. So it's like 30 inches, which is like that, which might be too short for you to use for cutting.
Yeah, it would be. But that's okay.
But maybe cutting smaller things.
Yeah, the only time that the only reason I did my cutting at Laura's house versus here, where I've got a super fancy cutting table, is because I was doing so much cutting. I had so many fabrics. So I'm making new aprons for all of us, plus Mama Linneman, so that's half a dozen. All of us being the people that
work SSK.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for someone in charge, they're usually wearing an apron.
Yeah. And then I'm making a couple as giveaways for SSK for like not goodie bags, for like door prizes, because last year people a lot of people really loved them. And if aprons aren't your thing, that's totally cool. But, you know, a lot of people really liked them.
Would let people select what they put their tickets in for.
Yeah. So, I'm making a couple as well. So, for each apron, there's 4 big pieces, plus you have to do exactly the same for the lining, plus the pockets. So, it was a lot of cutting. And I didn't want to do it all by myself, so I took my shit over to Laura's house and did it there.
And we watched podcasts.
Yeah.
And, the Paul McCartney,
something karaoke, carpool karaoke.
Yeah, which was amazing.
So this is the goldfish memory that I started talking about 10 minutes ago. And it uses Rose Obsessive Stitchery. That's the orange.
Rain's Obsessive
Rain's
Stitchery.
Obsessive. Yeah, sorry. It's ROS. That's the short name for it. That's the golden color. The white variegated is from Emma's
Crazy Beautiful Yarn.
Yeah. And the blue is Big Alice Dyes in Sleeps with the Fishes. And it bled a little bit. But
That's just my water at my house.
well, yeah. Plus it's been sitting for, I don't know, 7-8 years.
And blue dye does tend to bleed more.
So-
But it didn't run.
No.
I was worried that it had run when I first grabbed it out.
Yeah.
But I don't think it did.
I'm very happy with how it came out, and I think the recipient will be very happy as well. So that is done, and then my other finished object is my depth hat by Talitha Quilting.
Oh. Is it done?
It is done. The ends are woven in, but they haven't been cut because I haven't blocked it yet because it's a hat.
And it's still attached. There you go.
Yeah, so we'll just put all that to the inside, and you'll just pretend like you didn't see it.
I want to try that hat on because it's got a different top, right?
Yeah, the closure on it is different. I need to weave that end in, but yeah. So
it's definitely got a front and a back.
no, they're the same.
I mean, but, like, there's definitely, like, you couldn't wear it with this to the front.
Yeah,
It would look
yeah.
silly.
That's true. So, alright, let me just, this is what the top looks like. Alright, so it's got this part that folds over.
Like, handle top, I
Yeah.
think is the real name.
It's
or
got-
a name that I'm just making up for it.
These little corners on the end that are tucked in. There's my thing. I still need to want it to weave that in. But, yeah, I mean, it came out pretty well after all the fussing.
Can I try it on?
I did after I tried on.
Okay.
So, it's a little bit slouchy. I'm okay with that.
I like slouchy hats.
Yeah.
Let me try it on. Because we still have another skein, so I can knit it too.
Yeah.
If I like it. Oop, that's totally in my face.
It's a perfect spot for it. So this is from
As you do. Oh, that's cute.
the yarn is Fiber Seed, and it was a special colorway that was dyed for the
I like it
Great
because
Knit
you can
Off
tuck that down.
2018.
I bet you it'll grow a little bit when it's
Yeah.
blocked because it's superwash. That's super cute.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
I think that's what I'll do with the other
I wouldn't have picked that out for me.
colorway that I have. That's a flashing colorway like that.
Yeah.
Um,
And we're going to see her at SSK so we can buy more.
Yeah.
That's super cute. I really like that.
our friend Loelle knit this for her husband, and she
to
said
walk the dogs.
it looked like a map, like an
Yeah.
atlas. You
'Cause
got
he's very
the
into
land and the
maps.
sea, which I thought was cool. That's a cool way
That's
of
super cool.
thinking of it. So,
I'm going to take a selfie in this later for your project page.
cool. Sounds good.
There you go.
My hair is all fuzzy. Sorry, I took a shower earlier and didn't bother to straighten it. So, why am I apologizing to you? It's hair. Who cares?
Ooh, I just caught my knitting. I apologize for that to myself. That's terrible. I need to get a manicure.
That is it for me. I do have spinning, but I'm going to make Laura talk for a while.
Okay. I have 2 spinning projects. One is complete, and it is the Patreon prize, and the other is still being worked upon. I'm going to finish this row, though, because Leslie's going to be pulling on this yarn, and I don't want it to come off the needles.
I'll make sure not to. I only do that with the Even
She's
Star
very
that other
aggressive.
people are knitting
Oh my
at Stacy's
gosh.
house while we're recording.
Was it Even Star, or was it...
It was Even Star that
Oh my
Sarah was
gosh.
knitting.
I've forgotten that Sarah knit that. Okay. I need to finish my Even Star. I have residual guilt about my Even Star, and I really need to get over it. It'll get done when it gets done. Maybe in August for, like, my last Stash Dash projects, because it'll be after House Cups off for that month. So I can work on, like, stuff with not having guilt of not getting imaginary points, because I don't know. Guilt is how I run my life, so is my stress levels. This is Adrift. It's English Shetland by Into the World, and it is super pretty. It's 270 yards of a 2-ply. And this is this month's Patreon prize. It poofed up really, really nicely, which I really wasn't expecting. But I really like how it came out. So it was spun on the Ladybug and plied on the Ladybug as well. I filled the bobbin to, like, max capacity on the plying. I sent Leslie a picture. Like, there is no way, and my last, like, 10 yards of plying are a little bit wonky, maybe, because of that, so please don't judge me. Like, right there, that's a little wonky, because I was, like, forcing it on at that point, and having to hand wind it on. So, it is 4 ounces, 270 yards. It was spun and plied on the Ladybug. With Harry Potter yardage, that's 540 yards, but for stash meters, that's 741 meters. I'm writing everything on these tags. This tag is from Into the World, because they send tags with their club, which is really, really handy. I need to get back in their club, because that is one of my favorite clubs that I've been a member of. They do a great job. They use a wide variety of bases. And Chris and James are just the sweetest in general.
And I feel like with some dyers, like, you see a color and you know immediately, oh, XYZ dyed that. Like, it's a common theme. I feel like Into the World is pretty diverse.
Yeah, I would say that their colors are extremely diverse in general. And then my other thing that I'm working on, y'all, this is Crazy Pants, and I know it's Crazy Pants, but we're just going to roll with it. I am spinning on my mini spinner lace bobbins. So these are Hanson mini spinner lace bobbins. So they are very, very small. They hold around 2 ounces, and I'm spinning pretty fine. I'm spinning some Nest. This is the first Nest.
Pretty fine. It takes her 3 hours to spin an ounce, and she's one of the fastest spinners I know.
But when I apply these, I'm going to mix up what I did with, like, my first batch and my last batch, because I feel like I'm getting thicker a little bit. So, like, my first 2, I'm spinning 8 total ounces, and I'm spinning them into a 4-ply cable yarn. So what that means is I have 2 more ounces to spin. I'm waiting on a new bobbin to come, because I only had 3 of these bobbins, and I wanted the weight of my bobbins to be pretty similar. I do have some of the heavier Hanson bobbins, but because it is so fine, the weight of your bobbin can actually affect your spinning. So I'm kind of waiting on that last one to make sure all of mine are fine. So how this works is, like, 2 bobbins. So these were all spun S direction. 2 bobbins. I'll have 4. Pretend there's another bobbin in this hand. These 2 bobbins will be applied together, and they will be applied the Z direction, which is the opposite. So spun clockwise, applied counterclockwise. This one was also spun clockwise. Its partner will be spun clockwise. They're going to be applied counterclockwise. So
essentially, normal 2-ply, and then...
So cable yarns are always twice plied. So this is going to create a 2-ply, this is going to create a 2-ply. I'm going to ply those 2 plies back together using S direction, so the same way that the singles were spun. And it's going to become this really cool, locked in, with a little bit of a texture yarn. And because it's been plied twice, the first time you ply these, you actually add double the twist that you normally would, because you're taking it back out again when you ply the second time.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be a 4-ply sock weight. We're going to see what I get. It might be a little bit heavier than that. I'm not certain. And I'm shooting for 400 yards. I might get more than that. We'll see on that as well. It's only the second time I've done a cabled yarn. The first time was several years ago. Last summer I played with some different structures, but those were more crepes. This is a pure cable.
Mm-hmm.
A great resource for this that I'm using is the Sarah Anderson book. She does 4 different types of cables in there and a bunch of different types of crepe yarns. I'm actually, for my owl this year, I'm doing 3 out of the 4 cables. So this is a traditional 4-ply cable. And then I'm going to do a thick and thin cabled yarn. And then it's kind of like this, but only 2 of the plies are spun. The other 2 plies will be like a silk binder thread. So it's going to be exciting, but it's a lot of spinning, and I totally feel it. Because I'm spending 3 hours a day on this to try to get it done by Saturday. So we'll see, because that's my 50% for my owl. Amy Florence told me I could totally spend 8 hours a day. So
she's a doctor. Let's listen to her.
She totally
She's
knows.
British, so clearly anything she says is gospel.
So I'm totally gonna get done. Because I have time.
Your green is all wound and pretty.
Oh, look at that. Thank you. Ooh, that's very small. It'll be good though. So that is the crazy thing that I'm working on. Eventually I'm gonna knit that into socks. I'm interested to see how, and that's superwash merino, how that wears versus a traditional 3-ply. So some different things that you can do for sock yarns. If you're a spinner, you can do a traditional 3-ply. You can do a cable ply like that, a 4-ply cable ply. You can do a chain ply to get that 3-ply, and that would actually create a self-striping yarn as well. And you can do where you spin a 3-ply, but 2 of the plies are going one direction and one is going the opposite direction. It's an oppositional ply yarn.
Oppositional?
Maybe.
Opposing ply?
Opposing ply, maybe? Yeah, I think. Which is something that I want to do in the future, and then I would like to wear them all and see how each one wears differently.
Well, and I feel like we should say these aren't the only way that you can spin yarn that then becomes socks.
No.
There are, I've seen people do experiments where they do a single ply or a 2-ply or
it depends
a
on
core spun or something like that.
It depends on how well you want your sock yarn to wear.
Yeah, and there's I think it's one of those things where everybody's sort of got an opinion. I don't know that there's ever been, and maybe there has, and I just don't know about it, like a logical, scientific
So
overtime
Sarah
test.
did one where she did one sock as a traditional 3-ply and one as a chain ply, and to see which one would blow out first. And I think the chain ply blew out first, but the hole was much smaller than the 3-ply. When it blew out, it was a much larger hole. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's just interesting. If you've seen
any other types of these experiments, I'd love to see them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I'm not the end-all be-all of knowledge.
I mean, I think commonly accepted wisdom is you want to do at least a 3-ply. But
well, the more plies you have, the stronger it is to some degree. If that makes sense. Because if 1 ply breaks and you have a 3-ply, it's not going to... you have time then to repair it. Whereas if you do
and depending on
single,
the yarn, it might felt itself close.
Yeah. That's true. And there's different types of wool that people like. Some people like down wools. Some people like superwash. Some people do also... Actually, Joanna Spring's a good person to ask because she does more non-superwash wools. If that makes sense. I miss her podcast. I wish she would come back.
Me too. Okay, so I do have a little bit of spinning.
Yes, you totally do.
I took 3 random braids out of my stash. 2 were Cloud Lover from Club Ages Back, and then one was...
Like 2013 Club,
even,
right?
Or old... No, a couple of them were 2011. Or one of them was 2011. I think the other might have been 2013. But, and the other was even older than that. It was some of the first fiber I bought, and it was from the Loopy U. It was Dazzling Duos.
Something Dye Works.
Yeah, I think I have it.
Oh, I have your tags. You left them at my house. And I brought them to you because it was annoying me that they were at my house.
The Dying Arts Superwash Merino Dazzling Duos in the Cheshire Cat.
So this one says 2011.
Yeah.
This one doesn't tell you the date.
Then it may not have been a club.
But it's a newer...
Yeah.
Label.
It may have been the year she came to SSK.
Oh, it could be.
I'm not sure.
I still have some of her fiber from that year too.
I still have quite a bit.
I like her.
Her color sense is really. I don't know if she still dyes or not. I should look her up.
Oh, I don't know.
But anyhow, so I took 3 random braids and I spun them all individually on. I spun each braid into a single bobbin, 4-ounce bobbin on the Mantra Craft Rose, and then just sort of looked weakly at Laura for a big enough plying head to ply what was almost 12 ounces of yarn. And it ended up being the Lindrum Jumbo Flyer with an Acreworks bobbin.
That's what worked.
Did a really good job of it. Because the Acreworks had a thinner core and thinner sides, so you could fit more on there than the bobbin that came with it, because it was a wooden bobbin.
It's also a lighter bobbin,
Yeah.
so if you're having issues with a Lindrum Jumbo Head and you're like, man, I can't get this thing to go, it's so heavy, I would try switching out that bobbin, because for, I think they're like $50 investment, it makes a big difference. You can hold more on there, and they're a lot lighter.
Yeah. And that made a difference. I mean, I didn't try to spin with the wooden one, but just spinning with the Acreworks one was hard enough. So I applied all 3 braids together, and this isn't for imaginary points or anything. I just wanted to see what would happen.
Not everyone needs imaginary points.
Well, it's
y'all.
not a need necessarily. It was just I don't like adding obligations to myself, so that was. It's not like I wouldn't love to be able to say I added the most points to House Gryffindor or whatever. You know, I don't want to.
I never add the most points anywhere.
You're not Jessica.
Not Jessica.
We have a friend who I don't know how she manages
She's
to
only
do
12,000
all that she does.
dash yards.
Yeah.
But she's working 12-hour shifts all week long, so I'm hoping I can catch up. Because I'm at like 6,000 yards.
I have no idea what I'm at. Not that. So this is what it ended up as. I got 300 yards of. I haven't done it wraps per inch, but I would say a bulky.
Oh yeah. It's pretty.
It is very large. It is head sized.
It's like 11 ounces.
Yeah. I've got a little bit left on a couple of bobbins. But this will be an SSK door prize probably. I really love it. I think it came out beautifully, and I hope someone else really loves it. And when I was plying it, it was really awesome. I kept texting Lady Amy Florence pictures, because like every 10 yards it was like a different skein. It was a totally different set of color combinations. So I was really happy with it. I'm not happy with the lighting, because it is not showing you the brightness.
It's blowing out a little bit tonight.
But I'm really happy with it. It is so bulky that it's actually hard to wind into a skein for me, because it's hard to get enough twist in there. But yeah, I'm happy with it. I will definitely do more of these types of experiments in the future, because it was fun. It was a happy thing to do. So
yeah. So what do you think you're going to spin next?
I don't know, really. I need to go through what I would like to do, and I'd like to do a video of the process, because I've seen other people do similar videos, and it was really helpful for me in deciding what I wanted to do. But I would like to go through and pick 6 to 8 braids of fiber that are kind of in the same family, not too homogeneous, and do a sweater spin,
like a mashup,
split them up, and
so like split them and then like put in random piles.
Yeah,
do it that way.
Yeah.
Okay,
not scientific at all. Just like I'll grab
like,
3
not
of
like the
those and
fade
7
method.
of those. No.
Okay.
Which is a perfectly valid method. I just want to do something different. So
because you've already done like a faded.
I have. I did.
Where you did like 1 ply of A.
I did the fade before it was cool. I totally did.
You did 1 ply of A with 1 ply of B, and
yeah,
1 ply of B with 1 ply of C,
right.
and 1 ply of C. Yeah,
I did
cool.
that. It was a Hello Yarn, I think.
It's a Spunky Eclectic sweater.
I was in New Jersey when I made it, so I can't remember what it was.
It was that Spunky Eclectic.
It was a hand-spun.
Yeah. Do you still have that garment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it goes to SSK every year.
Somehow I missed that. I need to try that back on.
But yeah, I did do the fade before it was cool. I am such a badass. I'm
freaking-
such like a trendsetter.
That is totally the word that I would use to describe you in every way.
If you could only see me and my gloriousness right now. But yeah, that's it. That's all I've got for spinning. So my spinning door process for SSK will be this, and then the patchwork kit that I spun, which is
Oh wow.
this. So, like, I always feel like Laura does way more than me because she signs up to knit people's socks. This year I feel equal. This year I feel like, okay, I don't feel so bad. Like, I've put a lot of time into spinning these things. So
yeah, I think that's
so I'm
almost
happy about
2
it.
pounds of spinning that you're giving away.
Yeah.
Plus your aprons. I
Plus
think you
aprons.
win.
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
No, I think you totally win because I'm not doing more than 2 pairs of socks. That's a lot of knitting.
It is. And for me, it's easier to do it this way because A, if I don't like it, I don't have to give it to anybody.
Yeah.
And B, it's already done. So I'm not obligating myself to anything. And if I hadn't gotten it done, I just wouldn't have told you about it. And then nobody would miss it. So anyway,
I do the majority of the Patreon prize spending.
You do.
So,
you absolutely
that
do.
makes me feel a little bit better.
Yes.
I do the majority of the purchasing fiber though too, so it all works
It
out.
does.
Alright, so what we're reading. You're actually legit reading things. I'm not. I'm watching things and listening to things.
Okay,
so
well,
you talk about your things that you're reading.
Okay. So I started listening to Landwell, which is a book by Jess Baker. She's also known as the Militant Baker on the internets. And it's sort of about, I think this is her second book. Maybe. It's sort of about taking the insults and things that are slung at her because she is a plus size woman and she's a hardcore advocate for body positivity. And the Landwell title is one of the insults that was slung at her at some point, you know, because she's a fat person. Oh my God, you know. So, and it's interesting. So far, it's been very heavy on the personal memoir sort of side of it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But there are times when it gets too heavy and I have to take a break from it. So I downloaded a book called 14, which I've listened to and read multiple times, and it's by Peter Clines. It is sort of a modern way of dipping your toe into the Lovecraftian waters.
Is this the one that you were talking about before with the... Is this the one with the bugs?
It's an apartment building, and there's...
Y'all need to stop sharing bug stories with me.
Yeah, there's been several times when Laura's texted me this week like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what somebody just told me about XYZ bug. And Eloise was the worst of all. Okay, if bug things creep you out...
Oh, good. Let's talk about this
Put
more.
your fingers in your ears until I wave my hands, okay? We were talking about bugs at Knit Night with our friend Eloise, who's Dingle Daisy on Ravelry. And she said, oh yeah, you know, I heard you guys talking about this on your podcast, and she knows a niece or a friend or something, I can't remember, who they were on a motorcycle and the woman swallowed a bug, right? Which that's gross, but whatever, it happens. And like 3 or 4 months later, she had a bump on her face and she went to the doctor for it because she couldn't figure out what it was, and something came out of her face. It was a bug of some kind. Yeah, like it exited her face. And I screeched at her. I was like, oh my God, why would you tell me that? You know, anyway, it was pretty gross. I don't remember what kind the bug was. Okay, we're done with bug stories.
I can't handle that anymore. I'm done with bugs.
Although in this book 14...
Oh my God, don't talk about bugs anymore.
It's nothing gross that happens to a person or anything, but
Where did my Thai Dr. Pepper go?
There
First
are
world problems.
bright green cockroaches with 7 legs.
There it is.
And that happens in his other book in the same universe. Anyway, 14 is really interesting if you like science fiction. It is almost like contemporary fiction for a little while that tricks you into being science fiction about halfway through.
I did read a book this week.
And
Well, I read a bunch of books.
What else?
What else did you read?
I started The Beauty Myth by Naomi Wolf, which was recommended to me by Kate of A Playful Day podcast. And so I bought a used copy on Amazon because usually I'll buy the Kindle edition, but the Kindle edition was the exact same price as like a brand new. It was like $15 or $16.
Oh.
And there were a lot of used copies on Amazon.
Yeah, and that way you can share it with people if you think that it's
I didn't have any problem with
them.
the used book, so I bought it, and I got it today. I think I spent like $5 with shipping, and it was an autograph copy.
Oh, Oh.
I even went online to look to see what her signature looked like, to see if it was real.
Cool.
Yeah, it was an autographed copy. And somebody had made notes and all this stuff in it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, I'm really...
Super cool.
So I just started it. I don't have anything to say on it because I just started it.
So with the little girl I'm tutoring, we're reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory together.
Okay.
But this week we were doing a lot with nonfiction. And we read a nonfiction picture book called Pink is for Blobfish, which is really, really cool. It's all these interesting creatures who are naturally pink. And it's got facts about them, and they're just really, really cool. I didn't know that hippopotamuses...
Hippopotami?
Yes. So their sweat is pink. It's to keep
either.
them from getting, sunburned.
Ah, that's kind of cool.
Super cool book. So if you have a kid that's in the first, second, third grade range, this is a really cool book. And then I went, because I had heard about that book before, but then I was like, Weird Animals series, and it's one of 3. The third comes out in August. So she's got a Scary Animals book one, but it was really, really well done. Highly recommend it. So that's Pink is for Blobfish. It's not on the show notes because I totally didn't even think about it until now. And we're also reading all the Mo Willems books, all the Elephant and Piggies, because she really likes funny books.
This is the one where if you give something a cookie.
No.
If you give a mouse a cookie or
no,
something.
that's Laura something. This is The Pigeon Drives a Bus.
Okay.
And then Elephant and Piggy. And then That is Not a Good Idea, which is what we read today. Which is hilarious. It's kind of like a silent movie. And Knuffle Bunnies by him. And there's a bunch of really good books by him. If you have a first grader or kindergarten first grader that's really into funny books, that's one of Alice's favorite series too. So those are really good as well. Because I've been tutoring a lot, I drive down to Hernando every day and back up. Well,
which is a
twice a week. So that's a 20-minute drive each way. And I also drive down there to get bagels from the farmer's market on Saturday because that's where our local farmer's market is. So I've added 60 minutes of driving time to my week, which usually my typical commute to work is 5 minutes. There, 5 minutes back. So it's not even enough time. By the time I get a podcast ready to go, I'm already there type thing. So I hadn't been listening to a lot of audio podcasts, but now I've had time to sit and listen to some audio podcasts. So I've been catching up with some old friends. The 3 that I've been listening to audio podcast wise are the TheKnitGirlls. I'm still 6 months behind, but I'm catching up. Their Grinch-along just happened.
Okay.
So, it's Christmas time. We're getting there.
Yeah.
So eventually I'll catch up with Jasmine and Gigi because they're some of my favorites. I just can't keep up. I don't sit and listen to podcasts much anymore. So it's been nice to catch up with them. And then Knitting Pipeline, Paula, is such a sweetheart, and she does some really, really interesting stuff. And she runs a bunch of retreats as well. Some of my favorite episodes, though, of hers in the past have been the Elizabeth Zimmerman episodes where she reads the letters from Elizabeth Zimmerman. But she's just great, and her audio's superb.
Yeah, Paula is a genuinely lovely person. If you ever get the chance to chat with her, take her up on it,
If you ever have a chance to go to one of her retreats, they are just so much fun. I went to her larger one that she has in the winter a couple of years ago, and it was such a great experience. And then Spin Control with Shiloh's back. She wasn't appearing in my feed reader, and she had a computer glitch, and so her what is that, RS feed had changed.
RSS, yeah.
Yeah, so if you haven't been getting her podcasts, you should update that. I had to delete her and re-download. And they're there, and she just went to Estes Wool Market, and she talked about sitting and listening to the wool judging.
Ah, it's right up your alley.
Still my heart. And she does a lot of spinning, but also knitting. And her latest one also has an interview with the Maggie Casey, who we adore.
Yes.
And Shiloh just says a really nice thing. We've met her a couple times, and she's just really sweet, and she's such a knowledgeable spinner.
She took a break for a while, right?
So her computer dying, I think, caused that break, but she also was in the military, maybe?
Yeah, I think she was.
Yeah. And there was something where she was overseas for a while. That was right after Jackie's.
Yeah.
I think we met her at Jackie's retreat
think so.
For the first time. Man, that was
Camp Kip. That was
Camp Kip. That was a long time ago.
7 or 8, somewhere in there.
I would say 9. 9 or 10. It was 10 because The one that we went to, because we had just started the podcast. And didn't we start our podcast in 2010?
We did, but I didn't know that we were podcasting at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We had just started. Like, we were baby podcasters. Like, no one knew who we were, which was awesome. Although it's fun to see people now.
It is.
But,
our friends refuse to go places with us.
Because they won't put up with our paparazzi, is what
Because people like to sit and chat. We love
yeah.
to sit and chat with people, but, you know, like, Jess is on a mission. She's like, I'll see you later.
She has to go give that Jenny the Potter a hug. There is important Jessica business to be had. And she does not have time for paparazzi. That is how she says it, too. So,
That's
yeah.
cool that Shiloh's back. I'll have to download it.
Oh, I really like this. I listened to the new one on my way over to your house.
Oh, cool.
And then, as I've been spinning for like 18 hours this week trying to get this cable ply done. Yeah, it has been 18 hours. 3 hours a day. That's crazy. Alright, so I've had lots of time to watch Queer Eye, which is like my new obsession on Netflix. Mm-hmm. But I've also been watching a bunch of audio podcasts. So I caught up with...
Or video.
Yeah, video. Thank you. I've been listening to a few audio, but I've been watching a lot of video. So the Stranded podcast with Amy Florence.
Lady Amy.
Not calling her lady. Fat Squirrel Speaks with Amy Beth, who's so funny. Her shenanigans are hilarious. Although this last podcast, when she started crying, just made me upset for her. It made my heart hurt.
Politics are not fun in the U.S. right now.
Yeah. Cherry Pearls, which is a new to me podcast, which I just started watching, and it is two ladies from New Orleans, and they actually, on their last episode, New Orleans did, like, for Knit in Public Day, they rode a streetcar in New Orleans,
cool.
and Rick of Whimsy Stitches was there, and I saw
so
him, and I was like, I know Rick, he's right there, with his white glasses, which I love. So it was fun seeing, like, a friend on their podcast. It just made me so excited, but it's a mother-daughter duo, and one of them is a dyer. She's Teeny Button Studio.
Yeah, we'll have her at
and she'll be at SSK. She does a lot of Harry Potter themed yarns. So the last part is that, and she's got a new kitten in Tagrid. So if you like kittens, there's a new kitten. And it's fun. Yarn Hoarder with Amber, of course. Dramatic Knits with Stephen Callie. Again, like catching up with old friends.
Yeah.
So if you have a podcast, and I might not, like, because I haven't been watching podcasts for almost a year, I've kind of not been able to keep up. I would now that I'm off for the summer, I can watch things. It's amazing what you can do when you have time and not running from like work to home to basketball to work all the time. So I'd love to hear about your podcast if you have one. I know Bags by Awesome Granny, she's got one that I need to catch up with that we talked about before. So I watched one of her episodes, so I need to catch up with her, and I need to catch up with like 90% Knitting.
Oh yeah,
Lisa. So there's a bunch that I already know about that I need to catch up with, but especially if you're coming to SSK, I want to see your podcast before you come so I can put a name with a face. That's always super fun. So that is where all my time has been going to. I've also been listening to Alana Andrews' Kate Daniels series to try to prep for the new book that's coming out.
Came out today.
Oh, did it come out today? I thought I had pre-ordered it. Yeah.
Something. Yeah, I got a notification that it...
I didn't get my pre-order for that. Maybe I didn't pre-order it.
Let's see.
Could have sworn I did.
Sorry, I don't usually check my phone, but I wanted to mention this for Laura. Let's see. It's not the one
I thought it wasn't coming out till July.
Iron and Magic, the Iron Covenant.
Yeah, did it come out today?
Placed on... Let's see. Alana Andrews is one of our favorite authors. Yeah, right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, it came out today.
I must have not pre-ordered that one.
Well, I did.
Super weird. Good.
And I'm in the middle of something else, so you're welcome to... Let's see. What else? Yeah, podcasts. I've been completely off the grid for the most of the last several years, even off social media for the most part. Although I have started looking at Instagram lately. I haven't posted anything, but
There's only so much time in the day.
There is. And I find myself, even in the past week when I've started looking at Instagram, a half hour will go by. And I'll just have no recollection of what I've done for that half hour. So, and I've got important babies to save and dragons to merge on my iPad. So, you know.
It's all a matter of priorities.
Yeah.
Leslie wanted to go to the dinner the other night, and I was like, not yet. I'm playing a game where I have to save some babies. Give me a second.
Literally, not a joke at all.
That's why we're best as friends.
So I played Sudoku on my phone while waiting for her to save her babies.
It's very important.
And Laura brought up something that somebody had asked her a while back. She was at an event that I wasn't at, I think, and somebody asked if we were actually friends.
And so now I'm like, man, a real good friend wouldn't do this.
Yeah. We are actually friends. I see Laura several times a week outside of the podcast.
Whether I want her to or not. She's got a key to my house.
You're right, I do. And Pearl loves me, so... oh, Buffy's barking.
See, I could go in your house, but your dog's
still need
totally...
to get you a key. I haven't done that since we moved back.
Well, you have a husband and such, so it
who
never
leaves the house.
I would never just let myself in.
Let's see. What else did we have to talk about?
We've got a lot of things going on. So the Fiber Seed, the Great Knit Off 2018 is still going on, even though Leslie finished her hat.
Yeah, I think it's still to the end of the month.
Yeah, so there's lots of things to do with that, and you can find more details on that on the Fiber Seed Ravelry group, which is a great place to go.
Yeah, and there's
she said she was up to like $900 for charity.
Yeah, that's cool.
Between the three of us, so that's really, really cool when you think that it's just 20% of the purchase.
Of a skein yarn?
Yeah, it's awesome. You've been working on your SSK aprons.
Yeah, I don't have any of them up here, so...
Oh, okay.
I did most of the cutting. I've still got a few little pieces to cut for pockets, but I can get the initial pieces sewn together. The cutting takes longer than the sewing, believe it or not. Good. So hopefully I'll have at least a couple done next week to show you guys.
Good, because I want my apron.
I know you do. Very demanding.
I'm gonna leave my dinosaur one at work, I think. I totally wear my dinosaur apron almost every day.
I actually found this really cute book fabric that I thought about getting you so that it would be more like library themed. But
I'm just gonna take all my aprons to work next year because I often wear dresses to work that don't have pockets. Yeah. So then I'll put on an apron because that's super classy. And I wear that with like my Alice in Wonderland tights.
Yeah.
As you do. Stash Dash is still going on. That will be going on through August 27th. There's some great chatter. I need to check the chatter thread. I think I'm like 30 behind. I've been gifting patterns at least once a week, but I haven't gifted any patterns this week, so I need to get on that. Likewise, we have the striped sock yarn knit along going on. There is a thread up for June. The prize is a pattern of your choice up to like $9, I feel like. And so you can turn those in. And in July, I'm going to go shopping at SSK. I think I'm going to buy some sock soap from Runs with Holden, Tuft Woolens. And that can be a couple of prizes.
She usually does a special SSK.
Yeah, I think that'd be super fun. Yeah. I need some more for her lip gloss is some of my favorites.
I like her roll-on perfume.
She has good roll-on perfume as well. Hey, Lady Hayes just started selling like roll-on perfume too.
I like her colors. I'll have to go look at her shop.
And then we have 2 giveaways going on. Do we want to do Patreon first or Simply Sock Yarn Company? The Simply Sock Yarn Company one I feel like is going to take the longest.
Yeah, it probably will. I need to put this down because there's no way I'll finish this row right now. Let's do Patreon real quick.
Okay. So the Patreon Hand-Spun prize is this skein right here, which I'm going to leave at Leslie's house. It is Adrift. It is English Shetland. It's a soft English Shetland, I feel like, though. I don't think it's super scratchy.
Just leave it right there. Let's see. I need to go here.
Do you need me to get out my...
Yes.
Okay.
And then here. Alright, so this is for people who donate in the $3 range, and our numbers for that start at 18 and go to...
I feel like there should be an app for random number generator. I wonder if there is.
62. So between 18 and 62, please.
Generate number. 19.
19. That is Catherine Stewart.
Excellent.
And let's see, where is Catherine from? Portland, Oregon.
Nice.
All right, Catherine, let me color this in so that I do not forget who you are. And then, and thank you for our Patreon donators of any amount. We genuinely appreciate
for everyone.
you.
If you are interested in donating for Patreon, Patreon helps pay for like the lights that we
hosting
just got.
costs, new equipment, all sorts of crap we forget we need and then have to order.
Shipping for prizes.
Yeah. Let's see.
And you can do that. There's a link in the upper corner of the TheKnitGirlls.com that takes you to Patreon, or you can go on Patreon and search The Knit Girls and sponsor us that way. And every little bit helps.
And our $250 prize, you pulled it. Oh, it's here. Let me go so I can
It's
see
a skein of Desert Vista Dyeworks in our Year 7 colorway.
This is the last skein, I think, of the 7-year itch colorway that we have. This was our 7-year anniversary kit color. I have knit socks out of it. This really makes me think of like a beachy, like seashore.
Summer.
Yeah. So this will go to someone from our $2.50 reward pool. It starts at 64, number 64, and it goes to, keep going, number 128. So 64 to 128. And
it's 115.
115 is Genevieve O'Shea
cool.
from Quebec.
Oh, wow.
So, Genevieve, I will make sure that this gets sent to you at some point. As soon as I can. I asked my husband to mail my passport stuff. It took him a week and a half.
That's exciting for him.
That was awesome.
I need to do that.
All right. So these two are Patreon prizes. Genuine thank you for anyone who donates to us or any creative endeavor on
for
Patreon, because it really helps there be less stress around the costs that pop up.
Right, and now we have the Simply Sock Yarn Company.
Yes, and I will share.
I think the easiest thing to do with this is as we pull them for you to favorite and then put the colorway name in your favorite notes. Do you think that would be probably the best?
I can. Hang on a second. I'm going to pull up the thread, and then I'll share the screen so you guys can see as we go.
There were a lot of people who were not members of the group who were posting in here. So if a non-member of the group wins, then we're going to redraw.
Okay.
Because that is like one of 3 rules that we have.
And it's a pretty easy rule.
Yeah. It's right there at the top.
Oh, okay.
There's 470 people.
Let me lock the thread first. And then I will add this as a resource and we can show the screen. Window capture, Ravelry. Okay, and then let's edit this. And make this bigger. Okay, so it is, I believe 470 was the last one.
So I put 2 to 470 on my random number generator.
And our first winner is?
So the first one will be for Alphabet Street, which is this gorgeous purple. And the number will be 336.
14, I think. 336. Columbine blooming in the garden. That's Deb's Knits.
That one. That is perfect for this one.
What's it called again? Alphabet
Street.
Street. And that is.
And you all just need to send Leslie an email at you don't call me less
at Gmail.
At gmail.com.
It's the same as my Ravelry name, but at Gmail.
Alright, the second one is for Funky Town.
Okay.
And that is going to go to 32. So page 2. So pretty. This is one of my favorites.
Funky Town.
Funky Town.
Number 32.
32.
That is Short Sue. And it says it's the Northern Lights. Funky Town. Prize winner.
The third skein is Viva Las Vegas.
Okay, I need the numbers first, please.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm just going to have to ask you to keep repeating
96.
stuff. Thank you very much, ma'am. All right, let's go to page 4.
So 4 is Viva Las Vegas. It's 96.
And that goes to Distracted Knits.
Perfect.
Viva Las Vegas. Vegas.
The next number is 313.
All right, that should be on page 13, I believe. 313, you said?
Yes.
All right, and that is number 32.
Violet Beauregard, that's awesome. And this is in a New York minute. It's a great gray. The next number is 208, and that is going to be One Particular Harbor. So 208.
Jane Says Knit. One Particular Harbor. Harbut. Okay, let's see. Prize winner.
306 is the next one. It is for Twilight Zone.
306. I'm having to do all this math in my head, and she's just got to pull a thing out.
And push a button. It's very complicated. Oh, it's
Sheila O'Keefe.
O'Keefe.
Blueberry Fields Forever.
I feel like she just won something else.
What's this called? Twilight Zone?
Twilight Zone. The next number is 351. So 2 more pages. I did that math for you.
Thank you. And this is
it's M22.
Elsa and M.
Perfect.
Pandora from Avatar. M22. What does that mean?
I don't know. The next one is 56, so that'll be on page 3. And it's back in the USSR.
50 what?
56.
And that's
Back in the USSR.
Knitting Mama 64.
I'm so happy that no one who's not a member of the group, like, that's just drama. I'm so happy that's not happening.
Now you said that.
I know. The next one is 243. And that's Green Bay Pride. Hopefully you are a Green Bay Packers fan.
I think it's page 10.
No.
Yes, it is. Shut your face.
243.
Orion's Belt.
Yay.
That's A. Hoosier Knits. And what is
Perfect.
this called?
Green Bay Pride. The next one is 392.
That's going to be 13, I think. Nope, not even a little bit. 16, I think. Yep. 392. That is Spitfire SNC.
Oh, I know that name.
In the Vault.
And that is Bread Ripple.
Broad Ripple?
Maybe. Looks like bread.
Yeah, Broad Ripple.
Leslie's better at words than I am.
It's a flavor of ice cream.
Oh.
That's how I know. Well, that's one.
354 is the next one.
Okay, that's 2 pages back. No, it's 1 page back.
354.
Yeah.
That's Paradise City.
Oh, that's deleted, so.
Oh, that's so sad.
Give me another number.
Oh, 267.
Alright, it's going to be 10, 11, page 11, I think.
That makes me so sad.
To what?
267.
I have no short-term memory. Legal Eagle.
Legal Eagle. That's a
Blueberry
familiar
Hill.
name too. So Paradise City.
Look at all these prizes, man.
Then 13 of them. 310.
Alright, that's going to be page 12, I think. No, 13. That is Blue Gal.
And that is
Hydrangea.
Malibu color. Pretty hydrangeas.
Malibu. My fingers want to do their own thing.
And then the last one, I have this color in my stash. It's one of my favorites. Is 98.
Page
So
4.
page 4. And that is Jellyville, Texas.
It's like a Doctor Who color. Or a...
Dr. Seuss?
Like a Grinch, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of her Christmas
I'm sorry,
colors.
what was the number?
98.
8.
Oh, guest and group.
Sorry, Lynn in Illinois.
228.
Alright. That is going to be page 10.
But still, one out of all of those.
Yeah. Mariana Trench. That's La Chambre.
SM.
And it's Jollyville,
Texas.
Crap, what just happened? What was
It's
the number?
228.
Oh, there we go. I just paged down.
So if you think you might have won and you're not certain, you can always check Leslie's favorites.
Yep.
I think that's a good way of doing that. Thank you so much, Simply Sock Company. This was such a fun giveaway.
Yeah.
We don't usually ever give away this much. So thank you, and congratulations on 13 years.
That's a beautiful color.
Yeah, that's their new one that's coming out in the kit in the end of the year. They just put up a new kit for, so I got their first mug and Quinn yarn kit. They just put up a new one that is Life in the Long Grass is the indie dyer. And it's similar. It's one of those Sharon's mugs. Yeah. And, but this one has like speckles of color in it. It's really pretty.
Yeah, Laura showed it to me when I was at her house.
Oh no, the new one just came out today.
Oh, the one that she got in the kit was the one she
Yeah,
showed me.
I showed you the purple one because purple is my jam.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. So thank you guys so much, and thank you Simply Sock Company again. That was super fun.
It was, and it was a huge amount of stuff to send, so
Oh yeah.
thank you.
So just contact Leslie, you don't call me less, at gmail.com.
Yep.
The letter
I will
U.
set up a simple Google form to send you to put in your stuff. That way it's all
Ooh, look at that.
easily. Laura has completely converted me to Google
I
Forms.
love Google Forms. They're the best, y'all. If you don't use Google Forms to fill out for stuff, you are missing out because it creates spreadsheets that you can just print off
Little
of.
pie charts that give you percentages.
It's amazing.
It is a metric lover's dream.
Oh, it's so much fun. And you can even add people, like if you know you can add collaborators, but if you need a certain number of people to do something, let's say Mama Lena may never fills out her forms, you can just add her to the form, like add her to the spreadsheet. So
well, I think that's it. We got our Mr. Awesome to agree to actually leave the house and have dinner with us. So we're going to sign off and say that we will see you soon. And we hope that you have a lovely week.
bye y'all.
Bye, y'all.